With us is Dawn Neesom and Christopher Biggins. Very good to see you both.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Right, Dawn, let's talk about front page of the Sun. Insane. 4.7 billion is the migrant bill, which is the equivalent to the amount of tax gathered in a city the size of Manchester.
I can tell you exactly how this happened, right? Sunday for Monday on national newspapers is a really quiet day, and you're sitting there going, oh my God, what can we put on page one that's really going to work? I know. Let's come up with a migrant story. We know it works. And that's exactly what they've done here, and it's worked brilliantly for them. So, 4.7 billion migrant hotel bill takes every penny in tax from a city the size of Manchester. So what they've done is they've drilled down into how much the asylum support is costing us for 2023-24, and then worked out the tax bill from a large city in the country. This Manchester, it works perfectly. And that is what it costs. If you live in Manchester, every penny you are paying in tax is supporting the migrant bill. And the numbers involved in this, Miriam and Eamon, are absolutely scary. 4.7 billion in asylum support, 23-24, right, fine. 3.1 billion of that goes on hotel bills.
Right, well, I'm going to ask you, you see what Trump is doing in Los Angeles, sending in the National Guard. Anybody that doesn't belong there is getting chucked back over the border. Is that what he should be doing here, Christopher?
Well, I do think it's about time we started looking at our country and how we're running it, because I think the money that we're spending on this particular situation is appalling. I mean, we can't do this. We can't let our people, suffer like we are making them suffer.
Well, this is the ridiculous thing. When you think there was, the winter fuel allowance, which we know they're umming and ahhing about that, they were hoping to get back 1.2 billion on that. Yeah. And we're blowing all this money on people that shouldn't even be here. I mean, we've got 32,500 asylum seekers in hotels at the moment, right? £41,000 each that's costing. But we've got 38,000 illegal migrants here who've exhausted every means of staying right. They've gone through every legal appeal. They should not be here, and they are still here.
Well, and some estimates are that there's actually 1 million people who are undocumented, overstayed visas, that the Home Office doesn't know where they are. So it is an extraordinary problem that's out of control. I think nobody likes paying tax, but people accept paying tax if it is to fund things like new roads, new bridges,
the NHS,
schools, pensions, schools. But the sense of unfairness over this level of spending on people who aren't even supposed to be here. And I think, ironically, it comes out of the foreign aid budget. So whatever you think of foreign aid, whether you're in favour or against, it was never meant for this
to happen. No, it is absolutely... And going back to Eamon's point about what they're doing in America, I think people are getting so angry in this country now that it's going to be a case where people are going to want that to happen.
And the trouble is, I think the real blame of this is the internet, because everybody in the world can see how we live in this country. I mean, how the rich live, and they don't actually see how the poor live. I think it's a really strange thing to have.
That's a really good point. And not only does it show people different lifestyles available in different parts of the world, sometimes not accurately, but also it gives information about how to breach security controls.
Absolutely.
Which countries have the slackest immigration. And we've seen that. And Patrick from GB News went to Calais and the migrants were telling him, well, we know that in Britain you'll provide us a house. Well, how do they know that? Because it's spread on TikTok.
Of course.
And the other figure in this, which we all know, but the more you see it in print, that annoys you, how much we have given to the French to stop this. And it's £480 million to the French to stop this, and nothing has done. All they do is stand on the beach and film it.
That's extraordinary.
Great, thanks.
They do.
Thanks,
I
guys.
think they do prevent around 1 in 3 small boat launches, but by prevent, they just put them back on the beach. And then they go somewhere else.
So they can have another go another day. It's just insane. Just someone make it stop.
Well, I'm sure it seems to us, I'm sure around this table, it could be easy to stop. It's not a difficult thing, surely.
Well, it's difficult if you're not willing to take big steps like third country processing, like the Rwanda scheme, for example. If you're not willing to leave the ECHR, if you're not willing to actually deport people, it's then impossible.
But
these are political choices.
Why aren't we stopping these gangs? Because these are the gangs that are earning a fortune, making a lot of money, and we're having to pay it all.
Because smashing the gangs just creates more gangs. That's the problem with that policy, isn't it? What we need is a deterrent,
Well, what you need to do is to be seen to be tough. The way Trump is seen to be tough, and nobody here is tough.
I mean, would you try and get into America now, knowing what Trump's like to do to you? You think, no, I'm not doing that.
But the irony is, if any of us tried to live illegally in another country, we would be turfed out.
Yes, we would.
We'd be completely turfed out.
Absolutely.
So why aren't these people turfed out?
Yeah.
And anyway, that's what it is.
Shall we move on to something less infuriating?
Let's talk about orchestras, Chris. Orchestras in schools.
Well, I'm very pro this.
Yeah, music lessons. Now, I didn't know anything about orchestras, whatever. And when I went to grammar school, there was an orchestra there, and there was a choir there, and whatever. And there was a whole big classical department as a result of that. So, but apparently, not every school, far from every school, has such a facility.
No, and I worry about orchestras because I think there's nothing better than going out of an evening and going and sitting down and watching 50, 60, 70 people play unbelievable music. I think it is so essential. And I think it's a great thing for this now that orchestras in schools should be encouraged. The talent that's there is great. We've got it, so why not use it? Why not let the young, who have a hard enough time anyway, do something which is very enjoyable?
Well, we're going to have more from both of you after the break, but before we go to the break, a quick comment from one of our viewers. Bill says, I think Dawn and Biggins would be great in a remake of the Carry On films. The little clips before they come on always make me smile. So I hope you're planning your next move now.
I'll be your Barbara Windsor any day, sweetheart.
And there's a story of theft in the Times here, Dawn. And it's the lengths a couple have had to go to get their stolen car back.
This is another one that's going to make your blood boil, Eamon. It's a couple who live in West London. They had a lovely Jaguar E-Pace that had a ghost immobiliser fitted, which requires you to hit the right button, so it doesn't necessarily work properly. And also an AirTag fitted. It was stolen from outside their house. They tracked it down because they couldn't drive it too far, the thieves. And they tracked it down just a few miles down the road, phoned the police and said, look, our car's here. It's a very nice car. Can you do something about it, please? It's been stolen. The police said, a bit busy. So this couple had to go and steal their own car back. They found it had been completely gutted. All the stuff had been taken out of it that was nickable. The wiring had been messed up, but they actually managed to steal their own car back. And it's just a story of how police, this is Metropolitan Police, which is 33,500 offences of theft or unauthorised taking of a motor vehicle in 2024, 1.6% rise on the year before. And the police said they were too busy.
Gosh.
Yeah, but you see, they probably are too busy, and we're going to hear a lot about that, about funding today.
Oh, yes, of course, yeah.
And if they haven't got the funding, are you going to say, well, don't look into those cases of child abuse because you're going to recover a stolen car or whatever? So I feel sorry for them. It's not their fault. No. It's the funding issue.
Eamon, I really would feel sorry for the police if there were actually child abuse cases and rape being investigated. Rape is almost literally legal in London at the moment because it's just not being investigated, it's not being prosecuted because...
Again, they haven't got the support,
they haven't got the funding. No, absolutely. I know they haven't got the funding, but it's just a ridiculous issue. Meanwhile, we've got the Mayor of London advocating everyone goes and smokes cannabis and that make that problem all right.
No.
I was going to say, we were talking in the break about tracking devices on items, and I know people who've had expensive Apple laptops stolen, and they can see where they are in another house in another part of the city, but the police are not interested because I don't know what the law says about getting a search warrant if someone's got a private tag on the computer. I don't know, but there's some reason why they won't investigate these things, even though owners can track them.
Yeah. Right, yeah.
It'd be ironic, wouldn't it, if that couple who went to steal their car back were arrested by the police?
For stealing a car,
I can quite imagine.
Well, when my bike was stolen, the exact same thing, it had a tag on it. I managed to trace it down and know exactly where it was, dodgy part of London, in someone's shed, Police couldn't do anything about it. And I was so tempted to go and steal my bike back, but I didn't know the people that had it. They could have been very violent for all I knew, so I didn't.
Yeah.
I got a crime reference number.
Well, it'll be interesting to see whether the police do get more money, whether that results in more officers on the street. But the huge area of internet crime that's opened up, that absorbs an awful lot of police time? Do
Yeah.
we just need many, many, many more officers?
But of course, and because of the situation, financial situation of the country, everybody now seems to be thieving. I mean, it's a common thing.
Biggins, we've got a consul which we're going to talk about in the next hour of the programme, which the consul is now run by Reform, and they're saying we're not paying for a Pride March this year. It's not our responsibility to pay for a Pride March. What do you think of that? So it would save money, save funds, but should they or shouldn't they be?
Well, I think that people should be able to, march and make, their...
When was that part of my tenancy, but whatever it is, consul tax that I have to pay for a Pride March?
Well, but then, it's like, for instance, I live off Victoria Park in Hackney, and there was a concert this weekend, and they closed all the roads. I mean, I would be anti that concert. But I suppose things have to go ahead. You can't stop everything.